So the other day we were asking you on Facebook, I think maybe on Twitter as well, at Jeff and Jeremy, we're there all the time, if you have a vacation rental in your hood, in your neighborhood. And
this is a tenuous subject right now.
And I feel like it's almost black and white. Either people like are way cool with it or they don't like it at all. And I know that people in Paso Robles are all up in arms because there's a lot of these VRBOs, these vacation rentals. You had friends that came through and they stayed at one. Super reasonable too. I remember.
Yeah, it was way more inexpensive, especially when you split it with a bunch of people,
like 3 families.
Yeah,
and you can all stay in one house, and it's cheaper than one hotel room a night.
Yeah,
I think they said it was like
depending
$25 a night.
They came on the off season, so they came in like January, right after Christmas. And, that's when the rates are going to be super low. And I think they spent a little over $100 for an entire house.
Now, the neighborhood that I lived in before where I live now there was a lot of vacation homes. And it was the best because it was a super quiet neighborhood. On the weekends, the house right next to us, there would be some folks that it was their vacation home, though. So they didn't really rent it out. They would just come over from the valley and they would be there. And but other than that, I mean, heck, I would park in their driveway sometimes. I mean, it was like I knew they weren't going to be around.
I have an Airbnb down the street from me. It's funny because it's the same exact floor plan as my house. It's but it's awesome. And this lady, she rents it out. I was looking it up on
Airbnb. Stock it?
Well, I was talking on Airbnb, yeah, because I want to see if I ever wanted to turn my place into Airbnb, what I could fetch for it, because it's the same floor plan essentially.
All right.
They did add a bathroom in theirs, which is I think key, but $245 a night is what she gets for it. But I think it's kind of cool that she runs an Airbnb on the street. It's like, whatever. I don't think it brings down the value of the neighborhood. If anything, it brings up the value of the neighborhood for people that want to buy investment property.
Yeah, I mean, some people were saying, that they actually like it because they end up partying with the people. And I guess that person's looking for friends, but that's what Eric wrote in.
Hey, where you guys from? Like, if it was my next door neighbor, like this lady lives like 8 houses down. So, I would never come in contact with the people that are renting it out. But if it was my next door neighbor, I think it would be kind of cool because I'd be like, hey, where are you guys from? Oh, we're visiting from Chicago? Cool. Let's talk about, and it'd be like, you have friends. Like, this is how, and this is why I like Uber driving so much, okay, is I don't like long-term relationships outside of my wife and my kids, and you to some extent.
We just work together.
Longer I know you, the more things I'm going to find that I don't like about you. But if I know somebody for a short period of time, I'll think they're the coolest people around, So, like, that's why I Uber drive. I know people for like 10 minutes, and I get to know them for 10 minutes, and that's good. That's perfect. It's the same thing with my neighbors. If I didn't have to worry about, like, neighbor tensions, like maybe a fence gets painted or they're upset that my garbage cans didn't come in a what they see as a proper time frame, and I just had to worry about people coming in on the weekends, I'd be okay with that.
They see, I have another thought on this, and it's just that wanting to buy a home, and you did, and we know that it's in a very expensive housing market to buy into. You think about all these people that do live like outside of the area, but they buy these homes here as investment properties. And they don't live here. They probably don't even come up here. Maybe they do every once in a while. And they rent them out. And so what they're doing is they're buying up all the homes in the market, which means there's less properties for sale, which drives the prices of houses up. So on that side of it, I'm like, I don't like it so much. But on the other side of it, this is America. If you have the means, then you should be able to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to tell anybody what they can and can't do with their money. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry. If they're renting to people that are causing you problems all the time, that's why you pay taxes to a police department. You call them, you explain what's going on. They come out, they talk to the people, they get them to quiet down, or they give them a fine or whatever. And then the people that own the house have to deal with it.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you don't like it, move. But
I think you got to be smart. If you're going to go that route, you got to be smart and talk to your neighbors about it. Like say, hey, listen, I own this place, but I'm not going to live here anymore. I'm going to turn it to Airbnb. Let me know.
Oh, that just seems like You could be opening a can of worms for yourself.
Let me know what's going on here, because like there are certain neighbors
that's
that
respectful. There's no obligation there, but that is a respectful thing to do.
Remember those jerks in the retirement home that I used to live in next to where I lived down the street when I lived in town here?
When you lived on Pixellini?
No, when I lived on Carmel.
Oh, yes, I forgot. Yeah, that's right. There were seniors there.
Yes.
They'd call the cops on your dog if he barked.
All the time. But they'd also scream at me. It was so funny because I'd be listening to radio in the backyard, and I could hear their screaming, "Turn your radio down," over the music.
How is it that those 80, 90-plus-year-olds can hear? What are they? Turn your hearing aids down!
And I'd be like, okay, sorry.
Maybe you didn't have your hearing aids so damn loud.
Like
bionic ears over there?
The guy that bought that house and whatever he's planning to do with it.
Aren't they tearing it down?
I hope he's not planning. I talked to somebody the other day, and they said that they're planning on keeping a big portion of the house up and just building back and making it their home. But the city's stonewalling them. And more importantly, the jerk neighbors next door are complaining about it.
Well, here's your glory. You can just drive by and flash him the bird.
No, I sympathize with the guy. I feel bad for him.
Say, hey, how do you like that bulldozer? Every time they move those things on the tracks, they squeak and make so much noise.
But anyways, you got to be copacetic with your neighbors before you do this, Or if you know your neighbors are jerks, don't tell them whatsoever. Don't tell them. Don't say anything. Kind of warn your Airbnb people. Be like, hey, listen, neighbors are kind of jerks. I'll give you like a break on the price on it, okay?
At Jeff and Jeremy on Facebook. Great way for you. If maybe you have a solution for some of these people that are dealing with them. I noticed that there's a handful. Chris is one of them. So the question is, do you have a vacation rental in your neighborhood? If so, are you okay with it? And Matt writes in, we don't have that problem in Santa Maria. I guess nobody wants a vacation there. Jeff Smith writes in, he says, no one wants to vacation in Bakersfield. Oh, that's probably true. At Jeff and Jeremy, and you can text or call in on the 805 beer lines at 805-543-3693.
Subscribe to the Jeff and Jeremy podcast now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, and YouTube. It's your Central Coast commute-friendly podcast.